Hello and welcome. In this video I'll be fixing one of those small fans that you see in the picture. It's one of those high-speed fans that are usually used in 3D printers, and I broke this one because I was fixing something on the printer while it was running, and I should have just taken out the electricity, so one of my tools hit the fan blades and one of those small blades broke off. It is a little bit annoying, and I think it happens to a lot of people. So since the motor is not broken and it's only the fan blade that broke, I've decided to use my 3D printer and a little bit of CAD modeling to see if I can fix this fan. Of course it won't be a replacement for an original one, but in the end I managed to do something that works, and I'm gonna show you how I did it in this video. So the first step is disassembling the fan. For that you need to remove the sticker, as I'm showing here, on a different fan. And underneath you will find this little white plastic clip. And this is holding in the shaft of the fan blade. And right here you can see how the broken fan blade looks disassembled. What you've got is the little clip on the shaft and two small bearings which are in the housing. And this is the fixed fan, how it will look in the end. So the fan blade is removed from the housing simply by disassembling this clip and then sliding it out of the bearings. And now to make a new fan you also need to remove this inner ring. This inner ring is a magnetic ring that is used by the motor to turn the fan. Now you can watch me just use a little blade to remove the clip, so this is how you would do it if the fan were still assembled. So after taking out the clip you can just slide the fan blade off the bearings. Above the bearings there is a little tiny spring which you can't really see in the video, you will later see it on assembly. And this spring is also very important, so keep it. Now you've got the fan blade with a little shaft in the middle and the magnetic ring. And since we're gonna be replacing all of the plastic, we need to remove the magnetic ring. I'm doing this by just cutting through the plastic and seeing how I can get it out. Now as you can see here, the magnetic ring is not actually glued into place, it's just pressed in, so it's quite easy to remove once you get the plastic out of the way. And this is how it looks. Now all that's left is the small little shaft, and I remove this shaft just by breaking it out and cutting off the plastic. The shaft itself is different on both ends. There is two little notches, one that holds the little plastic clip, and the other one has like tiny teeth, and that's the side that's stuck into the plastic to hold on to it. So the next step is modeling a new fan blade. For this I'm using the community version of Solid Edge that's free to use for makers, and I make a model that's as exact as I can. I took the measurements before on a spare fan, so I'm trying to get it as close to the real thing as possible. The measurements that I use for the shape of the blade are basically just estimates, because it's impossible to really measure that, and I'm using the shape of an aerodynamic wing and just hoping for the best here. I extend the blades out, both outwards and inwards, and then do a pattern, and then I just cut off the axis until the shape fits how it's supposed to be. After adjusting the model to how it's supposed to be, I 3D printed it out. And then to make sure the magnetic ring fits, I had to sand the inside until it just made a snug fit. And I had to drill out a little bit of the center to fit the shaft in. To make sure that the shaft is in the right orientation, I used the drill press and pressed it in with a bit of super glue to make sure everything fits properly. Unfortunately, I didn't record any of those steps, so this is just me showing off the final product and showing how I'm assembling everything. What I've got here is the small little spring that wasn't really visible when I disassembled everything, and it's a bit of a conic shape, and the bigger part of it goes towards the outside of the fan. I'm showing off all the components and where I put them here with some spares that I had lying around from a previous attempt. And now I'm moving on with the assembly. So like I said, the first part that goes in is the spring, and after that you just insert the fan blade into the motor housing. The motor housing still contains both of the bearings. They're not really shown, I just took them out previously to show what it's made of. And it's really easy, you just put them in, there's not really any resistance, you shouldn't use too much force. With them in, you can see the preload of the spring right here. And to make sure that there's a little bit more space to put in the clip, I put it flat down with a washer underneath it so it pushes out a little bit. And the last part is the little small clip that just holds everything together, which I use a knife blade to push into place. Now, the next step is just testing out how it works. Since the finished version is in the video, what you don't see me doing is one step before this. I plugged everything in and I used a little bit of sanding paper to make sure that the fan blade clearances itself from the housing. And to show off the final result here, I'm just plugging in the fan and manually adjusting the speed on the printer. It still has a bit of an issue to keep going where it might need more clearance, but other than that you can tell it actually spins fine, and it does have quite a bit of airflow going through it. It doesn't really rattle as much as I expected, so it's not really that much off balance. Of course it will never be perfect since it's just a 3D printed model, but this works as a fix. I'm manually adjusting some of the speeds to try to show off that everything works just like it did before, but I think it doesn't really come across that well in the video. I think you can hear and see a little bit of difference, but what I just wanted to show is, yeah, this actually works. And this is it. Thank you very much for watching. I hope someone out there will find this information useful, and maybe it was entertaining for you to watch some DIY stuff.